Around, I want to say 2007, 2008, and 2009, those 3 years, my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and it was a type of cancer that was pretty much a death sentence. Chemo and radiation was known to not work at all with this type, and so there wasn't really any options other than alternative medicine and health food, really, and just trying to be as healthy as possible. So as time went on, the cancer eventually took its toll and started taking my mom down, and that was also the same year that my sister Jenna was kind of starting to what we thought was a rebellious stage, which most teenagers go through. It was really much deeper, and she was dealing with some mental issues, bipolar in particular, that she was seeking self-medication to soothe, I guess, her own uncertainties about what it was that she was feeling and why she was feeling and why she felt different than other people. So she was getting more disconnected, I think, from the family, and it was just causing a huge rift and a lot of pain on my mother, who was already dealing with a lot of pain because of the cancer. So that, needless to say, caused a lot of division between my sister and I. Not to mention that the rest of the family, whenever you deal with someone as central as your mom, which many times is the glue in the family, kind of being gone, you deal with kind of this feeling of being separate from everyone else in the family. So that was all happening in the same year, and also that same year I was in a 5.5-year relationship with a girl, and I was still pretty young, so I look back now and laugh, but at the time, whenever you're going through something, you think it's the end of the world, and you think a lot of times everything's revolving around your situation. And I thought that it was very serious at the time, and we were 5.5 years in, and we ended up breaking up. It was the same month, about the same month or 2 months, when my mom passed away. A lot of times you can be physically completely strong enough, healthy enough, but if your mind is weak or just in a bad place, it can, 1 pound of psychological weight can feel like 100 pounds. And all these things just felt so heavy at the time. So much so that I remember one night specifically being at the kind of the deepest, darkest moment of it all, and just definitely wishing for death. But I was never, I was fortunate enough to have a mom who at the time told me, she's like, if you ever think of killing yourself, talk to me about it first, which I don't think a lot of people get that. Someone in their life telling them that before they end up having thoughts like that. So I was very fortunate and thankful for a mom who wasn't oblivious to the idea that we all get to a point in our life where that thought enters our minds. And for some people, it seems like an easier way out when the pain's just too much. But her just saying that always kind of took the edge off whenever that thought came into mind. I never really fully considered doing it because I knew I'd have to talk to her first. I can't tell you how many times I've learned about something that I had no idea I was doing because of people in my life that made me aware of it. And because I became aware of it, it made those times, those dark times that I was going through, it transformed them. It was like this alchemy. Like, they weren't dark anymore. They were just like oh, that's why I'm going through that. Oh, it's just this, or it's just, you know what I mean? It's just this habit, or it's this chemical balance in my brain. It's not really a problem with my identity or me, and sometimes I think our minds just need an explanation. A lot of times that takes a lot of weight off the situation, even though it doesn't change anything, seemingly at first, but it does, just to be able to know that what you're going through really isn't as serious as you think it is sometimes. Your mind can be a labyrinth, and you can get lost in it. You need something tangible. For me, it's music and art. And for everyone, it's something different. But I found that more times than not, people who deal with depression or mental issues many times are very creative or intelligent people, and who haven't found their way of funneling it out into reality, or of venting it, or whatever you want to call it. It's not that I find with most people, you're not dealing with this because you're weak. It's that your mind is too strong, like looking at it in this light of, maybe your mind is like really powerful. Maybe it's overactive and you can't control it, but look at that as a good thing. Like, you're gifted with something. And I've found some of the most beautiful art and the most impactful, moving people have been people who struggled because they didn't know how to carry the weight of their own gift. I would tell myself that, you can't define a lifetime by a small little window of someone's life. A lot of times when we go through something hard, our minds just hold on to it and basically think that the rest of life is like this one moment that was just horrible, But it was just a moment. It was just almost like when you're sick and you have a fever. It was just the height of the fever. But you can't define your whole life by that. If you take a step back, I would tell myself, take a step back and realize that this is just that moment. Just like when you were a kid and you skinned your knee when you were 5 years old and you thought it was the end of the world. Just remember, you're just older now and you're skinning your knee again in a more complicated way. And you think it's the end of the world, but it's not. And to just breathe. And it really comes back down to what you believe life is. If you think it is something that's going to get easier and there's more grace with time, then it turns out to be that way. And I'm a living example of that, and so is my grandmother and people that I've met. But you meet the other people as well who decide that it's not that way, and life is just here to break you down, and it gets worse and worse. And it is that way if you want to believe it. So this is your dream. Decide what it is. You matter, you're needed, and you rock.